John, nobody's asking you for help. Nobody's asking you for help.
Why would you say that about me? Why would you say that? Why is no one asking me for help?
Because your demeanor.
Okay. Tell me about my demeanor, Melody.
No. I would not ask you for help with, no. Nobody's
Really?
asking you.
Really?
You're very nice, but like, I wasn't talking to you anyways. I was talking to the audience.
We're rolling.
Calling out tap people. This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.
Have you gotten any feedback about, remember the episode you told the murder mystery story about the postal worker and the turkey?
I should send an email like live on air. I have to email them again and ask for an update.
Listeners, if you haven't heard the murder mystery turkey episode, you should go back and listen to that. It's not hugely newsworthy, so it's not like you're 2 months late, you can't go back and listen. It's just an enjoyable episode, I thought, is Melody talking about the postal worker who is suspected of murdering a turkey. We're back on the Wedge Live podcast with another edition of Monthly with Melody. I'm your host, John Edwards. Melody is Melody Hoffman of SouthwestVoices.news, and here's her theme song.
Monthly with Melody, where I share all the news for you and me. Monthly with Melody, let's get down to it, John and me. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
And if you're not up on Wedge Live lore, Melody did that in one take. I was playing random royalty-free music, just like written and composed in about however long that took to play, 19 seconds. Great job on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I just sent while all that was happening, I just sent a email to the communications people at the USPS.
Oh.
Asking for if there's any updates on the turkey death investigation and if those could be shared with us, please.
I forget, are they actually investigating?
Yes, there's an open investigation, and I kept emailing them like continuously in March, and they're like, still investigating. So I gave them a month and a half off, and now I'm back to it.
I hope the notoriously heavy-handed postal inspectors are handling this. Because they say you don't want to mess with the Postal Service because the postal police, they're some tough dudes and ladies. So we're here to talk about the mall in Uptown, something that I'm very extremely exercised about. Melody, have you done any reporting on the mall in Uptown? Should I do a little intro of what this is about before I hand it over to you for?
Yeah, I would actually love to hear your summary of the situation. Take it away, John.
Okay, so in 2020, the Park Board adopted a long-range plan for all the parks in Southwest Minneapolis. One of those was the mall in Uptown, which looks and functions like a parking lot, but you might be surprised to learn it's really a park. So that's a parkway, and a lot of people park there. You can imagine there's parking concerns because there's a plan to add trees, green space, a community garden, make it more like a park instead of a parking lot. And this will only apply to portions along a 2-block stretch on the western edge of the mall in Uptown. All the north-south streets will be maintained. All the alleys maintain access in and out on both ends. Their public safety concerns have been raised. That's another thing, which I don't put a lot of stock in that, because the reason you raise public safety concerns is because who can argue with public safety concerns? Melody, you want to be safe, right? You like public safety.
I do.
Who doesn't?
I do. I love public safety.
My interpretation, of course, is that like all local politics stories, this is about parking at the bottom. So it's an adopted plan, and people in East Isles, led by a former state DFL chair, Mike Erlinson, who was the neighborhood board president in East Isles, as this plan gets close to being implemented, that was adopted 4 years ago, people are up in arms. They're like, this is about to happen. We need to stop it now. Otherwise, they're going to do it. And so it's creating a political climax, a conflict here, right as we get to a decision point. And the park board is introduced, and they passed today, a couple of minutes ago, by a 7-2 vote. They're going to pause decision making. They're going to go to the fire chief. They're going to go to the city's public works department and be like, hey, is this safe? Is this good to do? Which sounds all fine and good, but we will express through this episode, or I will express through this episode, why I am skeptical that the fix is not in on this. That's my intro.
Salacious outro.
What's the salacious outro?
That there's not a fix in. ...
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Melody, what have you learned about this? Do I need to ask you an actual question here?
Well,
have you talked to park commissioners? What are they saying?
Well, so I attended the East Isles Neighborhood Association meeting in February, where Park Board President Meg Forney and Commissioner Elizabeth Schaefer were first invited to hear neighbor concerns about the mall master plan. And it's interesting because when Schaefer and Forney were there, they heard the concerns, and the attitude, this is my personal observation because I was there, it was very much like, it's a master plan, like we don't really know what to say.
Yeah.
We'll kind of like,
they figured it out. It was public safety. That's what they're going to say, because who doesn't want to be safe?
And then so then fast forward to the meeting, so the April Park Board meeting, and all of a sudden, it feels like all of a sudden there's this resolution put forth by two commissioners, Benny and Schaefer, asking. So it's just at the planning committee in terms of like the logistics, but it's asking to pause decision making over what the mall's going to look like after the sewer construction, and that it was just surprising to me because I was thinking, like, what happened between that February meeting and this April resolution? Because it just didn't seem like there was anything to go on. I guess this is me editorializing a little bit, like, in terms of, like, it's the master plan. Like, the master plan says that's green space, and it's green space for 2 blocks, like, but I guess to dig into the reasons a little bit, presented, and I listened to some more public commentary from tonight's park board meeting. And tonight is it's Tuesday. Usually park board meetings are on Wednesdays. So today it's May 7th. You're listening to us in the future. But, to present what the people are arguing for is the maintenance of parking. It is a big argument for that because of the lakes nearby and the rental properties that are there. So there's lots of apartments. But John, I have a question for you. I couldn't get a definite answer on the internet where all answers are found.
Yeah. And
I swear the park board commissioners were talking about this publicly. You can't park overnight on parkways, right?
No, that's correct.
Okay.
It's an ordinance. And if you go to wedgelive.com, I got so upset that I wrote something on wedgelive.com about this, and I linked to the park board ordinance. Meg Forney even brought it up, who probably wants to change the master plan. But even she is like, isn't it illegal to park on parkways overnight? So how is this a viable parking option for residents who really need to park somewhere overnight?
Okay.
And So it's not
Thank you.
legal to use it in the way they are derailing this plan to keep using it.
Yeah. So if we're just like doing this, I guess I'm just doing this exercise of like how strong this argument is. So like the parking thing is a little confusing because of you can't even park overnight. And so I guess it's like daytime parking, but it's only 2 blocks of like half street parking. Like you can only park on half of the street. Like it's just not that many parking spots that are being lost.
The park board says 25.
Okay, 25. The trade-off is like more green space. And like this is the park board too, I guess we should like, and that is an argument that Commissioner Tom Olson made at the meeting 2 weeks ago. And he was like the lone vote 2 weeks ago and brought up a lot of, I guess, counterpoints to what the majority of the park board has been arguing for over the last couple weeks in terms of like arguing for maintaining the master plan as is and really arguing for what the master plan is about, which is the green space that is, greening that area and maintaining that kind of like park-like area right where the chain of lakes kind of all meet together, hence the name Chain of Lakes.
Yeah, I will play Tom Olson's audio, and I'll read it for you, Melody.
So what I am hearing there is that this amendment is not necessary because we have the full ability within the current master plan to ensure the safety and the road design of that South Road is maintained.
He confirmed with the assistant superintendent that they do consider emergency vehicle access when they develop their master plans.
When we do our master planning, do we take into account emergency services?
We do, in fact. When this plan, however, does not change all of the roads. It changes 2 blocks. The road that's in front of the buildings has not changed. And the master plan actually doesn't propose a change. The master plan actually doesn't provide any dimensional direction.
What we have been seeing is a group of very motivated, very connected, very privileged people coming ahead to this board because they did not like the CAC process. They didn't like the result of it. They participated in it. And through that process, which is as equitable as we can get as a system and something that we rely on heavily, came upon a result that they're not interested in. And so they're trying to find a workaround using safety, using all these other different scare tactics, even though we have the tools to ensure safety, to change a plan that they don't like.
He called out the hypocrisy of his colleagues.
This plan, as it stands, is everything that the park board stands for. It enlarges the area for recreation, creates more green space. It's more inviting. In a concrete desert, which I live in Uptown, and I know it creates more forest canopy, it creates more carbon intake, it creates a space for urban agriculture, something that just a month ago, so many of you voted very vociferously for to preserve and against an ADA path. We can create more of those spaces with this current plan and maintain the safety. It enhances water retention by reducing pavement. We talk about water quality all the time. And here's a space where we can take solid action that the community backs. And at the last minute, we have some folks who are trying to find a workaround because they don't like what happened.
So aside from the parking, the thing that they're trying to wedge in here so they can like justify the enormous, I think Commissioner Alper called it a huge lift to ditch a master plan, change it after it's already been adopted, is public safety. That's the wedge they're trying to use to change it. 2 weeks ago, Commissioner Rucker, who is also a firefighter, who met with opponents of the master plan at the site on the mall the Sunday before that meeting, a couple of days before that meeting. So he was reading private correspondence that he'd had with the fire chief off of his phone during that meeting. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing because it starts with the fire chief saying he hasn't been presented with the plans. He hasn't seen it, but he's been told about it. And he says, Chief Tyner does, "It is my recommendation that the area in question remain open for vehicle access for purposes of emergency response, and that the mall area not be filled in. Well, the mall area is not being filled in. The north-south street's still there in front of all the buildings. The mall is not it's not a street people travel on. When I say it functions like a parking lot, that's true. They cut off access to Hennepin Avenue in 1981. Like, this is not a traveling street. It's very narrow, and we know all about how fire trucks and emergency vehicles don't like narrow streets from Bryan Avenue, which I think is in a lot of ways inspired the public safety concerns here and gave them a roadmap.
They've brought that up. Many people have referenced Bryan Avenue in this,
including
discussion.
Commissioner Abeni, who lives on Bryan Avenue and is apparently very disgruntled by that. Comes up a lot for her. You know what this tells me, Melody? Park commissioners want a certain answer, and the fire chief is going to give it to them. I know it's not a done deal at this point.
Yeah.
They're looking for answers. I just feel like if the park chief is saying no go when he hasn't even looked at it yet, what's he going to say when he sees it? He seems very predisposed to telling them what they want to hear, and they come back and they say, "Hey, we got the answer we needed. Let's amend this plan."
And they're going to talk to the police chief as well, the park police chief, or
not the police chief, the city engineer, and I don't know who that is. I should know who that is. I don't know what the person's actual job title is, but I assume it's someone in public works who is the city engineer.
So that's less political. All right. It shouldn't even be political to talk to the fire chief. I don't even know what I'm saying. It just feels less daunting. But the fire chief, we already know what they're going to say. This doesn't feel great.
It doesn't. Also, Schaefer has been on about listening to the community. That was like the top of the amended language in their amendment to the resolution was, this is about the flow chart on the park board's website, Melody. The people are at the top. It's listening to the community. And I'm thinking, how did anyone know to contact you about this? This was a done deal based on the community engagement process, 18 meetings in 16 months in 2018 and 2019. Like, that was the time when the public knew to get engaged. And you say you're about listening to the community. Who knew we were supposed to flood your inbox in support of an already adopted plan? No one would know. They had food at those meetings. You could go to the park board's website. They'd say, show up here at this time, this place. We'll feed you and tell us what you think about all the long-range planning happening in Southwest Minneapolis. There's no process for this. This is discarding your already completed community engagement. If that's what you want to do, fine, but don't tell me it's really about listening to the community.
And I think that's what the uneasiness about it is, and I asked Commissioner Schaefer about that too, like, what does this, and that's where her answer ended up being, is like, I just listen to I listen to the community. Right. But that's the big fundamental question that I struggle with here, is like, what does this mean for community engagement projects? Because Southwest Voices was, let me finish. I was going to try to talk to you about two ideas at once. Southwest Voices was promoting their survey about the WUNRF, what they were calling they were promoting the mall's WUNRF, and like, please let us know what amenities you want around this thing, right? So we were sharing all that, and that was all this community engagement that we were like asking our readers to participate in. So what does that mean for all that work that was done, plus all the community engagement that was done, like you said, for the park master plan all that time ago, when all those people before that said, yes, trees over here, park over here, please, right?
So I have some numbers. At the meeting tonight, Assistant Superintendent Schrader says a potential master plan change would be, he estimated a $50,000 effort. They'd have to hire a consultant to help with, quote unquote, reimagining, assigning MPRB staff to this reimagining, this replanning. And, quote, we would have to be delaying other projects. So it's more money and delay to other projects to restart the planning and engagement for the mall because of these 25 parking spots that we couldn't imagine turning into green space. Couldn't imagine doing that. To serve a use that's not even legal by park board ordinance as residential overnight parking.
But besides the numbers, though, like I was talking about the community engagement, like what did all that community engagement mean then? Like, do you see what that, it's like the precedent that this is setting, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, people complain about community engagement all the time, like you engage the wrong people.
yeah.
And like you need to do it. It happens at the city. City council is constantly debating and saying this engagement was done incorrectly. No one is saying that in this case.
Correct.
They
yeah.
just don't like the result. And I am no fan of the community advisory committee process because you know who shows up to that? Mm-hmm. It's not a bastion of progressive activists. I went back and I looked at photos of it that I had blocked out of my mind, but I was reminded of what those meetings look like. I go to I've been to a lot of community meetings in my time, Melody, and it is the oldest,
I know. That's why I like your journalism. Okay.
white-haired homeowners you have ever seen. And I hate to be cruel, Melody, but I wonder if one problem with the community engagement of a couple of years ago, the 2018, 2019 era, is a lot of those people are no longer with us. And so that's the problem. We need to redo it because the people who weighed in are no longer with us. Maybe. I don't know. That's the only problem I can see.
It just says something about community engagement that like we can go through all these processes and ask for all this community engagement, but then and then they'll say, yes, thank you very much. Okay, we'll do it this way. And then another pocket of community can come in and be like, no, we want it this way. And then they'll be like, okay, maybe this way. And I don't know.
Well, imagine the alternative and the long range plan was rebuild the mall as it is. And some group of like volleyball players, like, no, fill it in and give us a volleyball court. Mm-hmm. They would not entertain that. They would say, this is sacrosanct. Mm-hmm. The CAC process reigns supreme. We have never in our lives would we consider changing a long range plan like this at the last minute. Never. The deck is stacked. If you manage to win an unlikely victory to add green space to a park instead of a parking lot, they're going to come in at the end and take another crack at you to change the plan. It's hugely frustrating. Another thing that happened at tonight's meeting, staff said the resolution didn't have all the information they need.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
So the Met Council, I don't know if we've established this, but the Met Council is doing sewer work, which is the reason they have the ability and the funding to implement this change is because the Met Council will chip in as part of the sewer work they're already doing. Because it's a way to like do two things at once. We give you the new sewer, and since we have to put it back together at the end, we're going to give you this nice new thing that's in your long-range plan. So it's a great opportunity for the park board to like implement your long-range plan. To implement, they have to know what goes in the replacement phase when they're all done.
So they wanted to delay it for.
So just delay it by a couple of weeks. It felt like the resolution had no point because staff can go to Public Works and the fire chief without this language change. And then they could come back in a couple of weeks and have the answers they need. And then the resolution wouldn't even be necessary. You could just start your process to amend the plan.
Yes, because this amendment was all about pausing the decision making. But we should I love how we're explaining the situation backwards. This is a very Wedge Live way to do this. So the other part of the story is that the sewer construction was supposed to happen this summer, like right now. And so That's why the East Isles Neighborhood Association was all of a sudden like, we have to do something now. But now, so Commissioner Schaefer announced tonight that the sewer project is probably going to be delayed until the spring of next year.
Right.
So that's why there's actually we can wait 2 weeks, whereas maybe a month ago or 2, I don't know when they got the information about the delay of the sewer construction, But there was a time crunch at one point, and now it's been relaxed. So they don't actually need this resolution. Is that?
I mean, that was
that
my
follow?
impression. They can
Yeah.
get these answers without passing the resolution, come back in 2 weeks and make a decision about how they want to proceed then.
Well, all that's done is made it very newsworthy and now which is good, because I think more people should know that this is going on. Just as in terms of like just FYI, if you care about the mall, that right now there's a discussion going on about whether it should be green space or parking or a road, maintain a road.
It goes to prove my theory that like delay is the friend of NIMBYs. Like if you had started work on time, we'd be building it. Imagine if they had delayed Hennepin. Hennepin already got delayed. If they had delayed that another year, we're just kind of waiting around here until somebody with the power can come in and derail this crap so nothing ever changes in this city.
And the fact that there's that Lindale construction now because of the rapid bus line. And imagine if that Hennepin Avenue construction wasn't delayed, that we wouldn't have to deal with all this construction at the same time. You ever think about that?
I think about that a lot. I think people should make their plans, stick to these timelines. There's delays with the Lindale thing too. Hennepin got delayed for unexplained, mysterious reasons that didn't turn out to be so good for transit riders. The Lindale, I've heard the delay on Lindale is possibly for good reasons. That the public works staff came back with some substandard options for Lindale, and like the good guys were like, let's reconsider this. So I won't pretend the politics can't be played both ways, and for the good guys, but
Somebody's got some inside intel.
it's true. So I'm looking forward to find out what's going on with Lindale Avenue. Hopefully soon. I think it was supposed to be March when we were supposed to learn this stuff.
I have the oh my gosh, Melody, words. Community engagement date. June 11th.
For Lindale?
Yeah. Breaking news. Bum, ba-da-da, bum, 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 bum.
When they announce it, you mean? Is that what you mean by community engagement?
No, that's when it's going to be. The first public one is.
To present to the public the options? Mm-hmm. June 11th. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can tell you how I got it offline, but it's legit.
Okay. Oh, this is inside information?
No, I got it from yeah.
Oh, okay. Before we dispose with this topic, Melody, we did an episode here on the Wedge Live podcast about the Sioux Line Garden and ADA access through that garden to the Greenway.
What?
And so there's going to be a community garden on the mall if they stick to this long range plan. And do you know how much space is provided by like 1,000 feet of parking and drive lane? It's a lot. Commissioner Schaefer was downplaying the size of the parkland that would be added by adopting the plan. That's a lot of space. Even though it's like one side of the street for 2 blocks and then the other side for like 1 block, that's a lot of space. It approaches the size of the Sioux Line Garden in terms of the amount of green space we could add. It's not quite as big, but it's getting there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the way they refuse to add ADA access to the Greenway because, oh my God, it would take 5% of the space away from the Sioux Line Garden, a garden that already has trails through it, just to give people access to the Greenway. And I'm thinking, well, where are these community garden warriors on the park board to fight for this long-range plan on the mall?
I wonder if they know about it.
Space.
Honestly, I wonder if they know.
Olson brought it up. He's like, hey, all of you guys, we just took a vote on the Sioux Line Garden and you all raised your concerns about the community garden. What's the deal now?
That's interesting. He brought that up in the interview too. Sorry, I got distracted in my brain about the whole situation going on with the Sioux Line Garden because they can't garden there this year. because of the.
Turns out it's a poisonous garden. They were saying that the 88 trail would poison the garden by stirring up the soil. Turns out they did some tests. It's already a poison garden. Sorry, guys.
Man, Minneapolis. This is why hyper local reporting is so rad, because these stories, man, they're just. You can't make this up. You can't make it up. Sorry for slamming.
Yeah, Melody, you've been tapping at the table the whole episode. I think you've gotten better about it, but I forgot to interrupt you and say, Melody, maybe not.
I'm
not
so
much
sorry.
tapping.
I'm such
You
a
get
tapper.
very excited.
I do.
Very excited.
I'm going to sit on my hands. Okay.
I keep my hands in my lap. That's what I do. I anticipate the worst. So get involved. Make phone calls to your park board commissioners, the 3 at-large commissioners too. Figure out who your district commissioner is. And so you've got 4 commissioners who represent you on the park board. Call them all. Show up to testify at any meeting. Doesn't matter. You can talk on any topic. And maybe most importantly, like run for park board someone, because the distance between the kind of people who run for city council and the kind of people who run for park board is, in my opinion, so wide. And I think it's because the park board just flies under the radar. Like, no, it's a low-paying job. Nobody wants it. The politics are kind of brutal. And so if you disagree with what the park board, how they are operating, get involved and potentially consider running for office. Now we can move on. What's been going on with you, Melody? What stories excite you lately?
None of them. Just kidding.
Uber and Lyft? Uber and Lyft?
You know what I'm really interested in? It's on the rideshare tip. There's this new it's this new transit system called Metro Move which is like in line with Metro Mobility, but it's trying to take some pressure off of Metro Mobility.
Is it the thing that's like rideshare for Metro Transit?
No, it's for people with disabilities. And they basically make up, I just talked with somebody at Met Council today, but it's like they basically make up a new bus route every morning when they pick people up. And so Metro Move just launched this week, and this is not a press release, I swear to goodness, but Metro Move is going to be a service for people who need the kind of Metro Mobility kind of transportation, but they go to the same place every day. They're on kind of like a regular schedule. And so they can make a more reliable bus route for those specific people. Does that make sense?
It's a private company? Yeah, makes a
No,
lot of
it's
sense.
through it's a program through Met Council. So it's like they have Metro Mobility and they have Metro Move.
Okay.
And they're both for people with disabilities. And then but Metro Move is for people that have a specific waiver. It's called a CADI waiver, I learned today. CADI waiver. And so, and then with that waiver, you're usually going to a job or a program, every day.
Yeah.
So
the thing that gives me hesitation is coming up with a new name for a different surface that is similar. And just as someone who, you navigate a government website looking for the program that applies to you, the thing that you're interested in, maybe we could just have one thing and then help people, guide people within that same program, because I just worry about the confusion of having Metro Move and Metro Mobility, both for disabled people.
John, I think so. Next time, I think what's going to happen is they'll call you and you can be in on the marketing meetings, and then you can start suggesting the names.
I don't know. Is that not a valid concern?
Oh, yeah. Met Council doesn't have like money to hire a Gen Z company to help them with naming. Like, yeah, they just like make something up. Yeah.
I don't mind the names. I just think, couldn't it be a new service from Metro Mobility, right?
You know what? I'm actually going to like do a story on this. So I will ask them about the name and like get into it with them.
Not that it's the most important thing in the world.
But it is to you. And so I cannot wait to ask them about that.
Okay.
It'll be my first question.
Do we? Thank you. Do we have anything to say about rideshare?
Well,
They came to an agreement with
Yeah.
DFL leaders in the House and the Senate. There's even a Republican guy who's in on this now, and I'm just imagining the all of Minneapolis press release connecting the DSA City Council to the DFL leaders in the House and Senate, and this Republican guy all conspiring with the DSA to push rideshare out of the state. Uber and Lyft, despite the new rates that are lower than what the City Council already passed, has said they still can't survive under those circumstances and would leave. And it's surprising how seemingly close they are to numbers the mayor put out last November that he said he negotiated with Uber and Lyft. I think the numbers he gave were 117. I get these confused. 117 a minute and then 35 cents a mile. And the numbers from the council and legislative alliance that is formed here is like 127 a minute and 49 cents a mile. That seems like relatively close, especially considering Uber and Lyft have already agreed to one of those numbers. I can't imagine how we get to July 1st and something isn't worked out where they stay here. Either they go back on their threats or they work out a further compromise. I don't know.
I don't know anything about politics. So this might sound like a really dumb question. There are no dumb questions, but why would the state and city council pass something that Uber and Lyft don't agree to? Is that a move?
You mean like making sure the company agrees to it before you announce it?
Well, I don't. Oh, so the whole goal was to get. What was the goal of the state and the city council agreeing to the same rate?
I think it's to build a coalition, because now the city council can say it's not just us. We're not the whack jobs here. We got the DFL leaders in the Senate and the House. We've got this Republican guy with us. It's not just the crazy DSA city council anymore. And now you've got Uber and Lyft saying, we're going to leave the state entirely. I think it's about expanding your team.
You know what? Did my mic levels get really wild right now?
You sound better now.
Oh, good. My mic got pushed over at some point because my cat got up here and futzed with something.
Okay.
So sorry about that, everybody. Now I sound great. I don't know when I started sounding shitty.
We'll work it out.
Anyways, the show's content, great. Audio quality, not so much. Anyways. Got it. I feel like with Lyft and Uber, I know what I was going to say. They are like, they're running a duopoly and they're going to lie. I just don't trust anything they do. And they can afford they can afford all of this. They're exploiting workers. So like, to even engage in like a meaningful dialogue about this and to like treat them like they're being like equal players in this conversation just seems silly at us.
People are acting like you haven't even talked to Uber. What's wrong? As if they're not having input on this every single day. Every story on TV about how they're going to leave is influence.
Yes. That's the biggest influence.
Every message on their apps to their customers talking about how bad the city council is being to them is influence. They have input on this process. And it's silly to be like, you didn't even talk to Uber and Lyft? How dare you? doesn't mean the city council is perfect here, but I don't think one of their faults is like failing to account for the needs of Uber and Lyft.
Did you talk to Uber and Lyft?
I haven't talked to a single communications person at Uber and Lyft.
I haven't either. It's not my focus area.
Yeah, I mean, once it starts getting talked about on TV and the national news, it's like I don't need to talk about it anymore. Someone got on my case recently about the protests on campus. So, like, look at this racist guy, Wedge Live, who doesn't talk about the pro-Palestinian campus protests. Like, I can see that. You can see that on MSNBC every night.
Yeah.
There is no shortage of people talking about that. And I can express sympathy with the idea that like genocide and war crimes are bad. I really do have sympathy for that point of view. But I'm not going to spend all day tweeting about things that other people have handled.
That's not why we exist as news organizations.
Yeah. So you haven't been over to the U to cover the protests either?
No, it's not I cover Southwest Minneapolis. If it was in our area, I would definitely cover it.
I'm too cool for that. When things start getting popular, that's when I opt out. I'm like, no, I only cover the cool stories like 88 trails to the Greenway and turning a parking lot into a park.
Exactly.
Edgy stuff.
John, what have you been enjoying lately? What's been bringing you joy?
Are you asking me for You're trying to end this show with the recommendation segment? Do you have someplace to be?
No, I like flipping the script. I miss hosting a podcast. No.
Okay.
How long has it been? Yeah, maybe I am. What else you got for me? Then give me another one. Come on, John, let's go.
I don't. I'm running out of things.
It's Fireball or whatever that show was. Fire.
Was it you that I crossfire?
Crossfire. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
We should do a parody cross between Crossfire and Hardball. If anyone is old enough to get those references,
Yes.
call it Fireball.
I'm sure somebody's done that before. Come on. If not, we're doing it.
We're doing it. Fireball recommendations.
Oh my God,
So
it could
was
be
it-
we could do it live, and it could be a fundraiser for Minneapolis Voices and Wedge Live.
It could be Fireball. Was it you that I recommended the TV show Silo to, or was it someone else? It's
No,
probably someone else.
but maybe should I watch it?
Yeah. So it's based on a book. I don't even know if I realized it was based on a book, a series of books, when I watched the TV show. I've started listening to the audiobook of Silo because I want to know how the story ends, Melody. I think in my original recommendation, I was like, I don't know if this is going to end up being good because, with TV shows, sometimes the twist feels very stupid and unsatisfying.
Yeah.
And I'll explain the premise for you because I talked about it on a previous episode.
I'm
But
just
you have
looking
no
it up.
idea.
Well, I'm behind. I don't listen to
it's
all of
this
them right away.
apocalyptic vision of the future, and these people live in underground silos, 10,000 people in a silo. And they have a screen on the walls in their cafeterias where they can see how terrible it is outside. And the punishment, if you do wrong, is they send you out in a suit to clean the camera where everyone gets a view of how bad it is. You don't know why the world exploded and it's all poisonous outside. You have no idea. The people that live there have no idea. And it's about slowly discovering how the people came to live underground.
I think
what?
Yes. This is way up my alley.
It's like, well, I'm not going to give it away because I've managed to get through the 2 of the 3 books as audiobooks. And, I mean, it's holding my attention, so it must be good. I must be enjoying the twists as they unfold. I don't know if the TV show is going to live up to the way the story is unfolding, though.
Probably. Books are always better than the shows.
Yeah, because I can see how they've taken some shortcuts and they've jumped ahead in some places. And
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Exciting.
Do you have any? It's very exciting, Melody. Audiobooks. I've transitioned from podcasts to audiobooks. Do you have anything?
Oh my gosh.
to recommend?
My friend just said the same thing to me. He's like, I'm over podcasts. I'm moved to audiobooks.
Yeah.
I'm a mix. I do both. I switch between depending on what I need.
I mean, in the sense that I have listened to 2 audiobooks in a row, and I haven't kept up with the podcast. I'm sure I will go back. I will get tired of the audiobooks.
Okay. Is it my turn?
It's your turn to recommend something to the audience.
If you have bicycles, like if you know how to tune up bikes, ask your friends if they need help tuning up bikes, because it's such a joy to help your friends tune up bikes. And then if you need help tuning up your bike, if it's like, oh, it's in the garage and you have a flat, I don't know, ask your bike friends to help you, because they love to help their friends get their bikes tuned up. Okay, everybody?
How do you know this?
Because.
How do you know this? Are you a bike person who helps people tune up their bikes?
Yes, and I love doing it. Bike people love because you tell a bike person that your bike is in the garage with like kind of flat tires, and it's been like that since last year. Oh my gosh, that sounds awful. Like, we'd love to pump your tires up. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Well, that's easy. I could pump. I'm not really, I ride bikes.
Okay,
but,
also, nobody's going to ask you.
John,
nobody's asking you for help. Nobody's asking you for help.
Why would you say that about me? Why would you say that? Why is no one asking me for help?
Because your demeanor.
Okay. Tell me about my demeanor, Melody.
No. I would not ask you for help with, no. Nobody's asking you.
Really?
You're very nice, but like, I wasn't talking to you anyways. I was talking to the audience.
What kind of things can you do, Melody? Let's say my wheel is out of true. No.
I just mean you're helping your friends inflate their tires, whatever you want to call it, and get their chains cleaned up, and just make sure that there's nothing super wrong with their bikes, and up to your abilities to help. And if there is something wrong with their bikes, then help them like get it to a bike shop that you trust. And just get them over that hump. Like, make sure that they have their lights all set up and stuff, because it just delays them and then they don't get out.
Because I have a dream of getting my tires to spin perfectly true. Not an ounce of wobble on those tires. And I was hoping to bring them to you, so at no charge, Melody would adjust my tires.
That's not me.
So they're perfectly straight.
I should have learned how to do that at Grease Rag, but I never did.
It sounds like all you know how to do is pump up tires, which even I know how to do. What service are you offering?
I can also adjust brakes, like get your brake pads to be... Okay. I'm sorry. You turned in... I said something really sweet, and you turned this into a how much can I work on bikes competition. Okay? No, thank you.
Okay. Are we really done now? Now that we've made it through recommendations, are we done? Do we have anything else to talk about?
The farmer's market season! Yes!
I'm glad we saved it to the end, because I feel like people never make it through that when they listen. So
the Linden Hills Farmers Market is now open. And then the Minneapolis Farmers Market is open. That's a big one underneath the freeway. And then the Neighborhood Roots Farmers Markets in Fulton and Kingfield are opening up in a couple weeks. That's it.
Okay. Is that it? Is that how we end it?
On farmers markets, yeah. Fresh food. Farmers markets.
Okay, this has been another episode of the Wedge Life Podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards. Melody Hoffman is offering to pump up your bike tires. You can read Melody at southwestvoices.news. And thank you for listening.
This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.